Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, government takes steps to assist financial institutions exposed due to the departure of Ross University. School principals challenged to be more accountable and businesslike in their approach, and bridge restoration in the Granby area a priority post-Hurricane Maria. The details of the news coming up.
At Millennium Freight Services, we offer a wide range of shipping solutions. Internet shoppers sign up for your free U.S. address with AirPost. And with AirPost warranty in return, you can count on peace of mind for all your pieces. Shipping to and from anywhere around the world, from large containerized cargo to smaller packages with Liat Cargo and UPS. Shipping from Trinidad, Logistics International's got you covered. Avoid the port with our customs clearance and optional home delivery services. Ask about our packing services. We make moving easy. MFS, your one-stop shipping solutions company.
L'année sim tout partout. Attention si vous êtes homme et bien femme. Visitez place santé pour examiner corps. Ça c'est un nick pour yo ouais si l'année pièce moun au lion qui ni maladie TB et bien maladie sexuelle. En compagnie moun qui ni maladie HIV pe ni TB aussi. Savent qui l'année guérison pour TB. Ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Parlez by docteur. Prends responsabilité ou. Aidez du bout de sime maladie TB et HIV. Ou agir tout moun pour examiner corps yo.
First up, government has been meeting with banks and other financial institutions which are now exposed as a result of mortgages granted for construction of apartments in the Picard area. Portsmouth MP Honourable Ian Douglas says government has requested that these financial institutions quantify the extent of their exposure. He says this is part of efforts to determine how best to assist them.
We've met with them and we asked them to quantify and collate the level and extent of your exposure so that we ourselves now can start thinking of how we can come in and help these people. That is what we're thinking of now, how we can convert the food court and put the people back there into working and create some activity there so local persons can go there and purchase their food and some. Now that we have the ferry coming in from Guadeloupe, how we can do some nightly activities with Wadix and these guys in Portsmouth to create that atmosphere to get dollars generating and circulating within the Portsmouth economy again. How some of those apartments can be used in the upcoming World Creole Music Festival will attract people into the area, so we have that accommodation. Now, we are way gone already, from Ross. We lament the fact that Ross is gone, but we're not going to sit on our haunches and do nothing.
Meantime, Secretary-Treasurer of the Waterfront and Allied Workers Union Curtis Augusta says he is not able to confirm whether Royal Bank of Canada is among financial institutions which were exposed due to the pullout of Ross University, who represents RBC employees. Augusta says restructuring is taking place at RBC, but is unable to confirm any potential job losses stemming from the bank's overexposure resulting from the departure of Ross University.
I have heard in the media that one of the companies that represent financial institutions, the Royal Bank, could be impacted through their exposure with Ross. I'm saying that if that was the case, or if that is the case, we have not been advised. What have happened in the Royal Bank is that they are now proposing certain restructuring, and that will have the impact of probably affecting between 4 and 6 workers. So we are in discussions. In fact, up to yesterday, we had discussions with Mr. Condell Simmons from Trinidad and Tobago, who is the Regional Human Resource Manager for the bank. And we were having discussions in that area. But that was in relation to a specific individual where we thought, and we are convinced now, that there was a certain level of discrimination because once one applies for a position, you get one of 2 options coming from management. It's either that there is a short list and you were not considered, or if you are considered, then you are offered an opportunity for the management making a determination through questioning, through an interview with you, to determine whether in fact you fit into the job. And once procedures are not followed, then it makes nonsense of the fact that you could sit down and negotiate terms and conditions and then one side or the other just sideline or don't comply with.
And Dominican school managers have been called upon to readapt to the school system following the flaws exposed by Hurricane Maria. Minister for Education Peter Saint-Jean says last year's hurricane brought to the fore several weaknesses in the country's school system, and entering the 2018-2019 academic year, teachers must bring with them a new mindset.
Following the passage of Hurricane Maria, we saw many gaps in the system as it relates to the psychosocial support, storage of school materials and equipment, and the vulnerability of our physical structures. In fact, many of you will agree with me that we had to start at level 0 to get you back at your schools. We have had our internal challenges in responding to the unprecedented impacts. And so I'm certain that you have been tested, tried, and now you realize that we must readapt.
Saint-Jean urged school principals to use their role to equip children with the skills needed to deal with the changing times.
You are the stewards of our schools, and your role is most important, and I believe it can indeed be transformational if you understand that young lives can be molded based on the effectiveness of your leadership. It is therefore your responsibilities as leaders of your schools to provide students with the right environment that promotes progressive teaching and learning, that equips them with the knowledge and the skills suited for these terrible times.
The minister was speaking at the National Principals meeting on Friday. Still in education, school principals around the island have been challenged to be more accountable this academic year.
The call came from Assistant Chief Education Officer Jeffrey Blaise when addressing the opening of the National Principals meeting on Friday. Blaise says principals must look at their schools as businesses and focus on getting the right output.
We need to redefine school leadership and management. We need to look at our portfolio as being chief executive officers, CEOs, as they would operate from a business point of view. And I say that because if you redefine your portfolio, you would now think of efficiency measures, weigh them against output, and see whether you are adding the sort of value that you're expected to for the engagement that you have been given. We need to look at our financial resources, our human resources, the investment in your plant, and match that against your output, your returns.
Blaise noted there are a few measures which need to be emphasized in order to achieve the desired goals.
One of them is quality supervision. Without excellent supervision, we will never materialize the kind of gains that we intend to get. So we want principals to be focused on supervision. That is one. Secondly, record keeping. Record keeping is paramount to the work of a chief executive officer. You need to maintain appropriate records. You need to take data-based decisions. Therefore, whatever you do has to be driven by evidence, and we need to do a lot more of that. You need to be scientific in your approach to management of education. We want to adopt a philosophy this year where principals see themselves as autonomous, but at the same time accountable. Accountability needs to be emphasize and re-emphasize.
During Friday's function, new Ministry of Education staff were officially introduced to the media, namely UNESCO Secretary General Greta Roberts, new principals Sylvia John Baptist for the St. Mary's Academy, Siletia Daly, Isaiah Thomas Secondary School, Shirley Lawrence, Common Preparatory School, Clara Lee, Goodwill Primary School, Solage Basil, Dodan Primary, and Anita Williams, the Newtown Primary School. There are also two new counselors with the Ministry of Education, Adela David and Antonia Yankee, and architect in the planning unit of the ministry, Miguel Sendville. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In health, statistics obtained from the Health Ministry, the Health Information Unit, shows that between the period 2011 to 2015, heart disease was the leading cause of death in the country. Heart disease was followed by hypertension and diabetes. That's one of the reasons why the Ministry of Health is highlighting the importance of the Stanford Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, CDSMP. The CDSMP is an evidence-based program initiated by the Pan American Health Organization. It was designed for adults with a variety of non-communicable diseases. It aims at building their confidence in managing their health and staying active and engaged in their lives. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Letitia Lestrade-Wyke, says the importance of the CDSMP became even more apparent following Hurricane Maria.
Approximately 1 year ago, we were devastated by Hurricane Maria, and we saw with sadness some of the resulting negative health impact among the population. There was an increase in persons accessing the health system with elevated blood pressures and blood sugar, increase in consumption of alcohol, poor nutrition practices, to name a few. As a health promotional strategy, the Ministry of Health and Social Services, through the Health Promotion Unit, has embraced the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program. This program is being used as a mitigation method to help improve and prevent the public health problem of NCDs faced in Dominica. Individuals with more than one health condition whose health problems have begun to interfere with their valued life activities or who have had difficulty in managing their condition will be better able to manage these conditions on a daily basis while doing the things they need and want to do.
The goal is improvement in the physical and psychosocial outcomes and quality of life. It will also allow individuals to communicate effectively with family, friends, and health professionals. Through self-mastery of these skills, individuals are expected to live longer, more productive lives. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more news after this.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
Thank you for staying with us. A $1.3 million bridge project for Highland Grand Bay is expected to be completed soon.
During Hurricane Maria, a small bridge in the community which leads to the primary school was washed away. This bridge was also useful for conducting business in that section of Grand Bay. Member of Parliament for the Grand Bay constituency, Justina Charles, says one of the biggest challenges on this project was labor, and for that reason, skilled workers from Colombia had to be brought in for that assignment.
In fact, the one coming into the primary school, I was hoping that it would have been ready as school is reopening in September, but they are still working on the abutment, the ring wall, and so the abutment on which to place the Bailey Bridge. And there are presently about 10 people engaged, but about maybe 20% of that is local, and the others are from Colombia. So the Colombians are there now for like maybe 3-4 days. They've started working, and they have given me the assurance that once they get the material on time, they should complete the wall, the wing wall, in 2 weeks. So if that is done, will be left to be done is to place the components for the Bailey Bridge. So I am hoping that it can be expedited.
Another Bailey Bridge earmarked for the Grand Bay constituency is in the area of Geneva.
Geneva, they've completed the wing. Abutment is just to place the components. The components are presently on if you pass on the Geneva playing field, the components are there. So they have not completed it, and they have to make the approaches to and from, because they want to give it a little elevation. So they have to do the approaches to and from the bridge. So, but work is continuing on it, and I think they're still at Fosséjean, because they are doing 3 in the south: Fosséjean, the Geneva one, and the Highland one. So they are trying to spread themselves to do those three.
Still on the topic of road access, Mrs. Charles says some level of work has been undertaken on the road leading to Grand Bay. However, significant rehabilitation works are in the pipeline.
The piece from Marana, from Pichne, coming into Grand Bay, that we can see when Dominica Strong work, they try to create a little pathway for us and try to level it. So from time to time, what we do with the ministry, with the support of the Ministry of Public Works, we engage a contractor to just put some more dirt and to roll it up, so at least it makes the driving a little easier. So from time to time, we have to do that, because you may be aware that this is supposed to be addressed under the British funding program for the road from Loubier to Fossage to Bagatelle. So definitely it's under there, and we know they are working towards it. I'm hoping that it will come sooner, but in the meantime we are trying to alleviate the plight.
And the Canadian government has pledged to assist Dominica in terms of helping to make a number of primary schools on the island more climate resilient. Canada is investing just over $9 million to upgrade 5 primary school structures, including the Grand Bay Primary. The other schools to benefit from the Canadians' funds are the Dalis, Will Strathmore Stevens, Montjohn and Salisbury primary schools. That commitment was further strengthened by the visit here this week of a delegation from the Canadian High Commission in Barbados. Prime Minister Skerritt gave the timeline for the execution of the school's projects.
The Canadian government will transfer the funds to the CDB, so the CDB will be the implementer of the project. We have had missions both from Canada and the CDB in Dominica to look at the feasibility studies of the schools. They've been to Grand Bay. We've given priority to Grand Bay, so we will begin first with Grand Bay. So based on the schedule that the CDB has suggested, we're looking at a commencement date of July of 2019. Okay, so that will be the commencement date, July of 2019, which, all things considered, is a reasonable start time. Because one of the things I believe too, and we have known that there are procurement delays at the CDB level and so on, but our partners have recognized the urgency of some of those interventions. And in the engagement with the CDB, we've been working together, not necessarily criticizing anybody for any delays, but working together to see how quickly we can have those projects implemented, ensuring that all of the engineering and the architectural designs take into consideration the resilience concept and the building back better concept, so that our schools are more resilient, they're more robust, and that our students, in terms of if we're faced with a disaster, that we can have school recommence literally the next day, because the facility itself will be able to withstand the ravages of a storm.
President of the Dominica Association of Evangelical Churches, Pastor Randy Rodney, is spearheading a prayer effort in the city in the wake of recent deadly gun violence right here in the country. According to Pastor Randy Rodney, recent gun incidents among young men here require some action by those spiritually responsible for the land. Friday's prayer event for the nation was scheduled for 7 to 9 p.m. between the EC Low Black and West Bridges. One of the recent shootings took place in Silver Lake, where 25-year-old Curtin Charles was killed. When we last checked with the police, there had been no arrests in connection with that shooting. Pastor Randy Rodney was one of those who spoke out following the incidents.
The fact that we have softened up on the penalties for crimes is almost giving people a license to do it, because they figure we can take that.
And in terms of the weather, Florence, which weakened to a tropical storm overnight, is forecast to re-strengthen back into a major hurricane as it approaches the U.S. East Coast next week. Where and when it might strike remains a mystery. This system does not pose a direct threat to Dominica. Meantime, locally, a westward moving area of low pressure, currently located over the eastern Atlantic, is being monitored for development over the next few days. This system has a high chance of development and is expected to approach the Lesser Antilles by the middle of next week. Residents are advised to closely monitor the progress of this system.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
And to end the news, a look again at the headlines. Government takes steps to assist financial institutions exposed due to the departure of Ross University. And school principals challenged to be more accountable and businesslike in their approach. Bridge restoration in Grand Bay area a priority post-Hurricane Maria. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Do have a good weekend.